am forever. I am forever luciferian, a reptilian, a Shakespearean Einsteinian, a super intellectual scientific freestyler, a science, true daughter of old, a time by art, who alterest all things with thy peering eyes, thy prayest vow, thus upon the poet's heart, a vulture whose wings are dull realities. How should he love thee, or how deem thee wise, who wouldst not leave him in his wandering to seek for treasure in the jeweled skies? I'll bet he soared with an undaunted wing. Hast thou not dragged Diana from her car and driven the Hamadryad from the wood to seek a shelter in some happier star? Hast thou not torn the Naiad from her flood, the elfin from the green grass, and from me the summer dream beneath a tamarind tree, spent never-endingly for eternity, infinity, times infinity, twixt thee to infinity and beyond, is thou infinite poetic me. All the complicated details of the altering and this tyrant are completed. A liquid moon moves gently among the long branches, thus having prepared their buds against a sure winter. The wise trees stand sleeping in the cold. Behold, I know you know who I am, it's told. Who has seen the wind? Neither I nor you. But when the leaves hang trembling, the wind is passing through. Toot-a-loo. Who has seen the wind? Neither you nor I. But when the trees bow down their heads, the wind is passing me by, spitting again inside of my head. I have a sophisticated vocabulary, is inadequate, undocumented, education, my psychological incompetence, is validate, elaborate, I'm saying completely adamant, my name is consciously, accurately, incoherently, many neutrons, but anti-subterranean, supercalifragial docentism, ferocious slaying of syllabalism. If people knew how hard I had to work to gain my mastery, it would not seem wonderful at all. But greater danger for most of us lies not in set on our aim too high and falling short, but in set on our aim too low and achieving our mark. If you knew how much work went into it, you wouldn't call it genius. Genius rhymes with Jesus. Genius is eternal patience. I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free. And cara impero. Yes, I am learning. Scripture is already complete within the marble block. Before I start my work is already here. I just have to chisel away the superfluous material. Lingardium Leviosa, Vendula Amongata, Goosefraba, blah blah. The greatest danger for most of us is not that our aim is too high and we miss it, but it is too low and we reach it. I spit it, I spat it. The true work of art is but a shadow of divine perfection. Lord, grant that I may always desire more than I accomplish, spitting a rap of a parish critique by creating. The greatest artist does not have any concept with a single piece of marble, spit indestructible, unstoppable, unprobable, does not itself contain within its excess, though only a hand that obeys the intellect can discover. I spit it, I spat it. If I am more alive because love burns and chars me as a fire rhymer forever, given wood or wind feels new, elation, equation, invasion, alien invasion. It's that he who lays me low is my salvation and invigorates the more he scars me, rapping lethargic, spitting scientific. It is necessary to keep one's compass in one's eyes and not in the hand, for the hands that execute, but the eye judges, spitting fudges. A man paints his brain. A man paints with his brains and not with his hands. Wham-bam, thank you, ma'am. With a few words, I shall make thee understand my soul. Goblin swallow my soul whole like into the black hole, like an egg roll. Dear to me is sleep still more, being made a stone, while pain and guilt still linger here below. Blindness and numbness, these please me alone, and then do not wake me. Keep your voices low. Well, where if I go, I am still learning. Every block of stone has a statue inside it, and it is the task of a sculptor to discover it. I spit it, I spat it. Read the heart and not the letter, for the pen cannot draw near the good intent. Draw, Antonio, and do not waste time. Beauty is the purgation of superfluities, rhyming never-endingly for all of eternity. be. There must be something wrong with me. I sophisticated vocabulary has been adequate, documented, education, my psychological incompetence, was validate, elaborate, understanding, be cool, animate, or enemies consciously, accurately, incoherently, remaining shows of the anti-deception, conference, beyond oceanism. I come from fields of fractured ice, whose wounds are cured by squeeze and melt when they cool, but in a trice get warm again by freezing. Here in the frosty air, the sprays, the fern-like horror, frost bristle, their liquid stars, their watery rays shoot through a solid crystal. I come from Empyrean fires, from microscopic spaces where molecules with fierce desires shiver in hot embraces. The atoms clash, the spectra flash, projected on the screen, the double D, magnesium B, and thallium's living green. Indeed, we place our eye where these dark rays unite, and this dark focus right on the source of power we gaze, without a screen to cloak us. Then, where the eye was placed at first, we place a disc of plutonium, a platinum. It glows, it puckers, will it burst? However, shall we flatten him? But crystal tube, the electric ray shows optically clean, no dust or haze within the stay. All has not yet been seen. What gleams are these of heavenly blue? What air drawn from a piran? What mystic fish that ghost-like through the empty spaces steering? I light this sympathetic flame of my faintest wish. That answers I sing, as sweetly sings the same. It dances with the dancers. I shout, I whistle, clap my hands, and stamp upon the platform. The flame responds to my commands in this form and in that form. Thereof I go, spitting forevermore. I have sophisticated vocabulary, has been adequate, documented, education, my psychological incompetence, was validate and elaborate, understanding, completely adamant, for enemies consciously, accurately, incoherently, new show of subject, anti-establishment, tarians, recovery, beyond oceanism, infinitism, rhymatism, aristopotism, infinitism, precious as sleep, better to be of stone, while the oppression and the same, and the shame still last, not seeing and not hearing. I am blessed, so do not wait me, hush, shh. We keep your voice down. I was never the kind of painter or sculptor who kept a shop. Is it any wonder since when near the fire I was melted and burned? If now that it's extinguished outside me, it besets and consumes me inside, and bit by bit reduces me to ashes, wrapping a ratting, spitting a blatting. Believe it or not, I can actually draw. I'm a Rayman of words not drawn, rapping forever, infinite, never ending, bound to you as the rays are to the sun. Please don't trouble yourself, God. Don't make us to abandon us from such a gentle thing, from such a fountain of all delight. My every pain is born, torn. I am torn. I created the vision of David in my mind and simply carved away everything that was not David, behave it. But if it so happens to work under pain, otherwise rhyme becoming shameful, or a false requires fantasy, rapping relentlessly in that certain climes or elements, spitting them as of a figure are altered by borrowing from other species, rapping relentlessly. For example, transforming into a dolphin, the hinder, rapper forever, end of a griffin or a stag, these alterations will be excellent, and a substitution, equation, annihilation, alien, rapping, bewildering, alien invasion, a lyrical, a pinnacle, a miracle, spiritual, however unreal it may seem, deserves to be declared a fine invention in the genre of the monstrous, delirious, curious, why so serious? And when a painter introduces into this kind of work of art a chimera and others, imaginary beings, in order to divert and entertain the senses, and also to captivate the eyes of mortals, behold of a portal, a multiple dimensional, a spiritual miracle, who long to see unclassified and impossible, unstoppable, indestructible things. He shows himself more respectful of reason than if he produced the usual figures of men or of animals, cannibal, Hannibal Lecter, chainsaw, a massacre. I have never felt salvation in nature, rapping equator, invader. I love cities above ball, if I fall, bring everybody else down with me. If I fall, I will bring everybody else down with me. If I fall, ball, bring down you all. If I fall with me, rapping never endingly, you no longer feel the fear of a change, of being and desire the course of the hours lays, and not violent hands upon you, necessity and change guide not your steps. I can hardly spit without envy, rapping relentlessly. Oh, when, oh lady of mine, with chiseled touch, the stone unhewn and cold becomes a living mold. The more of a marble wastes, the more of a statue grows. Well, there if I go, never stop spitting, you know. I saw the angel in the marble, and I carved until I set him free. Indeed, your greatness is measured by your horizon. Lord, free me of myself so I can please you. Spitting and squeeze you. Self-negation is noble. Self-culture is beneficent. Self-possession is manly, but to the truly great and inspiring soul, they are poor and tame compared to self-abuse. Spitting to you, never ending, spitting never ending to you. Sophisticated vocabulary has been added, undocumented, education, psychological and common subsidiality, and library. I'm saying completely adamant. My name is constantly, accurately, and clearly renewing children, subject to anti-dis, subject super calculation, biologicism, infinitism, rhymatism, off-top mutism. Here, let me please. These transient facts, these fugitive impressions must be transformed by mental acts to permanent possessions. Then summon up your grasp of mind, your fancy scientific till sights and sounds with thought combined become of true prolific. Go to prepare your mental bricks, fetch them from every quarter, firm on the sand, your basement fix with best a sensation mortar. The top shall rise to heaven on high, or such an elevation that the swift whirl in which we fly rhymes. There's machinery in the butterfly. There's a mainspring to the bee. There's hydraulics to a daisy and contraptions to a tree. Indeed, if we could see the birdie that makes the chirping sound with x-ray scientific eyes, we could see the wheels go around. And I hope all men who think like this will soon lie underground. Here comes the rain and thunder now. Looking for me, I'm underground. When I heard the learned astronomer, when the proofs, the figures were arranged in columns before me, when I was shown the charts and diagrams to add, divide, and measure them, when I sit and heard the astronomer where he lectured with much applause in the lecture room, spitting from my infinite rhyming tomb, how soon unaccountable I became tired and sick till rising and gliding out, I wandered off by myself in the mystical moist night air, and from time to time looked up in the perfect silence at the stars, spitting from afar. There I go, spitting to Mars, blast off to Mars. Perhaps I shine brightest now. Bow, wow, wow, meow. But my energy has changed. What I know is difficult to know in simple space and time. Passion is a system dying. If not making new precious is a luxury, a jewel. With maintenance, I am a white dwarf, alone in the truth of life and death, weighted with mission that follows me like a shadow, a penumbra. I must now leave behind. This is the way of creation. Nothing begets. Nothing darkness moves me into the light. Follow me into the night. All hail the light. My rapid immortality shall be granted to me. I shall cometh for me. I cometh for thee. Follow thee into the night. All hail the light. I sophisticated vocabulary, adequate, undocumented, education, psychological unconscious, personality, and library, I'm saying cool adamant. My name is Kashi, accurate, and clearly renewing trust, but they take the subject materials for conference, biologicism, infinitism, rhymatism, giantism, syllabilism, exorcism, hypnotism. I saw an angel in the block of marble, and I just chiseled until I set him free. Indeed, the best of artists hath no art to show, which the rough stone and its superfluous shell doth not include. The break of the marble spell as all the hand that serves the brain can do. If such a gift I truly have been given, and yet divided, torn, still burn and stray, he is to blame who fashioned me for fire, rapper forever. I know well that rap. At this hour, I spit and devour. I could as easily forget your name as the food by which I live by rhyme. Nay, it were easier to forget the food which only nourishes by a body miserably, rapping for eternity, infinity, never-endingly, than your name, which nourishes both body and soul, filling the one and the other, which with such a sweetness that neither weariness nor fear of death is felt by me, while memory preserves you to my mind. Think if the eyes could also enjoy proportion, in what condition I should find myself, raps on the shelf. How wrong are those simpletons of whom the world is full, who look more at color than at the figures which show a spirit and movement, rapping about movement, a rapping replacement, spent on all you rappers I'm replacing, that's all, blah, 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 blah. If we have been pleased with life, we should not be displeased with death, hence of the meth, since it comes from the hand of the same master. I'm the rapper and the poetry master forever. I live in sin. To kill myself I live. No longer my life my own, but sin's. My good is given to me by heaven, my evil by myself, by my free will, of which I am deprived. Rhyme, Lord grant that I may always desire more than I can accomplish. Rapping up, spitting and rapping relentless. Forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza. Rapping up, spitting up, Tetris bonanza, bazinga. Art is a genius. Art is a jealous thing. It requires the whole, an entire man. Wham bam, thank you, a ma'am. Bazinga, too much. Good luck, no less than misery may kill a man condemned to mortal pain, if lost to hope and chilled in every vein. A sudden pardon comes to set him free, thus thy unwonted kindness shown to me amid the gloom where only sad thoughts reign. With too much rapture bringing light again and again and again, then threatens my life more than that agony. Good news and bad may bear the self same knife, rhyme, and death may follow both upon their flight. For hearts that shrink or swell alike will break. Let then thy beauty to preserve my life temper the source of this supreme delight, last joy so poignant, slay a soul so weak. Indeed, I begin to tweak. Oh, he's just tweaker. The rapper forever. Stop rapping never. But I go spit. I assist to kill vocabulary, man, document, education, my psychological unconscious, this valley and library, I'm saying complete ediment, brain is conscious, acting incoherently, I mean, neutral, subdivided, substitutarian, subcalculated, nocism, infinitism, rhymatism, Dr. Seussianism, infinitism, syllabalism, giantism, of hypnotism, syllabalism, Dr. Seussianism. Everything works because of science. Even your old kitchen appliance. What about your mom's car? Without science, it wouldn't go far. With science, we can make a computer or phone. If you want a twin, just ask for a clone. Science will explain nature and trees. It's also used to find cures for disease. Science is cool. The evidence is clear. It's so much fun. Enjoy it, my dear. Rapper, drinking this beer, dough a deer. I'm drinking another beer. My frog recycles all his trash. He eats organic food. He cares for the environment. He's quite the hipster dude. Reduce, reuse, recycle is the motto of my frog. He drives a solar-powered car to cut back on the smog. He helps endangered species and opposes climate change. My lyrics I rearrange. He knows that since he's just a frog, this might seem kind of strange, deranged, but still he does his very best to keep our planet clean indeed. He thinks it's only natural. He's proud of being green indeed. There's a spit into thee all night and all day. Away goes the north, south. Poles of magnets will rebel against each other, push away just like people they repel, same, spinning round a circle game till north and south stay together, just like people, friends forever, quiet, loud friends, shy is an earthly fact. Our planet is as a magnet, rapping a spit. Our planet is a magnet, a spit and I spat it. There it goes inside of my head, the infinite speaking and rapping again and again. Painting is poetry that is seen rather than felt, and poetry is painting that is felt rather than seen. Indeed, a painter should begin every canvas with a wash of black, because all things in nature are dark except where exposed by the light. Once you have wasted a flight, you will forever walk the earth with your eyes turned skyward, for there you have been, and there you will always long to return. Truth and beauty be to this urn, thy shall repair, that are either true or fair, for these Deborah's sigh a prayer of infinity, rapping for eternity. If study without desire spoils the memory, and it retains nothing that it takes in. It had long since come to my attention that people of accomplishment rarely sat back and let things happen to them. They went out and happened to things. Nothing strengthens authority so much as silence, rapid resilience. The painter has the universe in his mind and hands. Thank you, ma'am. I love those who can smile in trouble, spitting a bubble, a double. One can't have no smaller or greater mastery. The mastery of oneself wraps in the shelf. The noblest pleasure is the joy of understanding. Spitting never ending. I have from an early age adjured the use of meat, and the time will come when men such as I will look up upon the murder of animals, a cannibal, a Hannibal Lecter chainsaw massacre, as they now look upon the murder of men. Nothing can be loved or hated unless it is first understood. The small steam line is a masterpiece, wrapping us fit into thee. Art is never finished, only abandoned, as a well-spent day brings happy sleep indeed. So life well used bring happy death. Hence of the meth. If you are alone, you belong entirely to yourself. If you are accompanied by even one companion, you belong only half to yourself, or even less in proportion to the faultlessness of his conduct. And if you have more than one companion, you will fall more deeply into the same plight. Learn and never exhaust the mind. I love those who can smile in trouble bubble, who can gather strength from distress and grow brave by reflection, rapping a spitting a spatting. 'Tis the business of little minds to shrink, but they whose heart is firm and whose conscience approves, their conduct will pursue their principles unto death. Hence of the meth, rapping a spit and a spat. The knowledge of all things is possible, indestructible, and spent and never ending, unstoppable. The greatest deception that men suffer is from their own opinions. The greatest deception men suffer is from their own opinions. Rapping and spitting. There are three classes of people: those who see when they are shown, and those who don't see. Rapping indeed. Principles for the development of a complete mind. Study the science of art. Study the art of science. Rapping lines. Develop your senses, especially learn how to see. Indeed, realize that everything connects to everything else. Spanning reps on the shelf. I have been impressed with the urgency of doing, and knowing is not enough. We must apply. Being willing is not enough. We must do. Span do you? I have sophisticated vocabulary, use my documented communication, my psychological incompetence, this validity and library. I'm saying completely adamant. Random is consciously accurate and coherently. I mean, shows the antithesis of substitutarianism, supercomfortability, infinitism, and rhymatism. Never stop at spinitism. My shadow on a sunny day, when standing clear of any tree, starts at my feet and makes a shape of black that looks a bit like me, but when it's dark, a table lamp will cast a shadow on the wall, and down the hall the shape it forms will hardly look like me at all. The shadow from a light close by, creatures a kind of monster shape that slithers round the walls and doors like vampires in their long black capes. When lights are dim, the shapes look weird. We conjure up all kinds of gloom. There are no monsters, vampires, ghosts. It's just the shadows in the room, spitting from my rhyming tomb. Let X, let Y equal any number of fathers. Let X equal the number of numberless planets. Let Y minus X equal long nights of fog. And let X plus Y equal Hydra and Incubus. If Y is greater than X, why do all my convictions gate? If X is greater than Y, does father just mean a nightcap wrap? When X is divided by Y, we set sail on a windjammer. When Y is divided by X, watch for a banshee, the gin, a spitting rhyming again and again. Or will let X be replaced by a midsummer night, and Y by well, and can never replace Y but by morning. Why will lollygag near half moons? Odysseus sailing into Ithaca, mildew as it rots. A tater atop, and a bee is no mere theory of relativity, and a bee is no mere theory of relativity. It is a helter, a skelter, a master familias, Mr. Baker and Rebecca, the mother who deceived not, Sarah who couldn't conceive, nor the mother of the nature of a black tern, the kitty wake plants, or orna ornamental barbecue, the cumulus, the nebulosus, and yet a mother of pearl and ice-cold tigers, I and the monkey in the middle, or spitting a rap and a riddle, Grego spitting a spittle, a spattle, a razzle, a dazzle, a shizzle, my nizzle, I'm hustling, I hustle the devil, spitting razzle dazzle. I have sophisticated vocabulary, vernacular, documented, education, psychological incompetence, this valley and library, I'm saying include element, my name is consciously accurate, inquiring, new children's, but they take the subject of terrence, for caliphacy, beodocism, infinitism, and rhymatism, and endolism, every now and then go away, have a little relaxation for when you come back to your work, your judgment will be sure, go some distance away, because then the work appears smaller, rapper forever, and more that can be taken in at a glance, and a lack of harmony and proportion is more readily seen. The time will come when men such as I will look upon the murder of animals as they now look upon the murder of men. The artist sees what others only can catch a glimpse of. Iron rust from disused stagnant water loses its purity, and in cold weather becomes frozen. Even so does inaction sap the vigors of the mind. Rama realize that everything connects to everything else. Rama and wraps in the shelf. Live without love is no life. Life without love is no life at all. An average mind, an average human looks without seeing, listens without hearing, touches without feeling, eats without taste, and moves without physical awareness. Rapping relentless, obsessed with, inhales without awareness of odor or fragrance, and talks without thinking. Rapping never ending, make your work to be in keeping with your own purpose. Rapping a spitting a spurtus, a spitting never ending, again inside of my head. The raps begin again and again. I have seen fervor is by standing on the shoulders of giants. If I have seen fervor is by standing on the shoulders of giants, rapper and lions. I do not know what I may appear to the world, but to myself I seem to have been only like a boy playing on the seashore, a seashell by the seashore, and diverting myself, and now and then finding a smoother pebble, indestructible, unstoppable, a razzle dazzle, a purple snap, a multiple dimensional, or a prettier shell than ordinary, whilst the great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me. Rapping adore me, I can calculate the motion of heavenly bodies, but not the madness of people. Purple snap, a razzle, a dazzle, a shizzle, my nizzle. Nature is pleased with simplicity, and nature is no dummy. What we know is a drop. What we don't know is an ocean. Rapping, I spent in a potion. I'm not spent in erosion, my eruption. Tact is the knack of making a point without making an enemy. People are friends are just people you think are your friends, but they're really your enemies of people of secret identities that cannot stop rapping for all of eternity. Gravity explains the motions of the planets, but it cannot explain who sets the planets in motion. Spitting a rhyme and a love potion. Truth is ever to be found in the simplicity and not in the multiplicity and confusion of things. Rendering in the day, no great discovery is ever made without a bold guess, spitting a hypothesis and educated guess. This most beautiful system of the sun, of planets and comets, can only proceed from the counsel and dominion of an intelligent and powerful being. This being governs all things, and not as the soul of the world, but as Lord over all. And on account of his dominion, he is wont to be called Lord or universal ruler. Spitting forever rapper, never such rapping never. Man may imagine things that are false, but he can only understand things that are true. Spitting never endingly to you. If I have ever made any valuable discoveries, it has been due more to patient attention than to any other talent. Rapping a spit and a spallet. He who thinks half-heartedly will not believe in God. Marathon megalodon. But he who really thinks has to believe in God. Spitting a spot rap marathon megalodon. What goes up must come down, and to every action there is always an equal and opposite or contrary reaction. Rapping I spat and I still kill vocabulary, documented, education, psychological incompetence, this validate library, I'm saying include element, my name is consciously, accurately, and coherently, my meaning shows so they take the subject vegetarian, so caliphacy, beodocism, infinitism, and rhymatism, never ending the spitinatism, a map on tissue, a mass of wire, electricity of the highest order. Somewhere in this life, a tangle scientists discover, like shipmates on the suddenly round earth, a new catalog of synaptic proteins presenting how memory is laid down at the side of this transmitting neuron. An electrical signal arrives and releases chemical packets. What I had imagined as nothing are a bunch of conversing squirts making a flat into intimate, wrapping a spit in a spat. My husband says, my wife says, that dark matter is a reality, not just some theory invented by adolescent computers. He can prove it exists and is everywhere, forming invisible halos around everything. And somehow, because of gravity holding everything loosely together, the way a child wants to escape its parents and doesn't want to. What's that? We don't know what it is, but we know it is real. The way our mothers and fathers fondly, angrily followed fixed orbits around each other like mice on a track. The way every human and every atom rushes through space wrapped in its invisible halo. This big shadow, that's dark matter, sweetheart, while the galaxies and the wealth of their ferocious protective bubbles stare at each other, rapper forever. Spent in a spat, I sophisticated vocabulary, manic, undocumented education, my psychological incompetence, was validating library, I'm saying completely adamant, ram is consciously active, and clear, my new children, antithesis, substitutarianism, recovery, biodociantism, fitnessism, rhymatism, supersyllabalism. I never said spent and rap them forever. Spent in I says, someone not only showing him when the shows of being in and being rare, so very ricochet, message, devastating, more, everything, I'm not feeling levitating, I'm going to motivate and elevate your music to explain all nature is too difficult a task for any one man or even for any one age. Another spitting away. Sir Isaac Newton was born in 1642 and died in 1747, rapping never ending about the times of the end. A body of men will be raised up who will turn their attentions to the prophecies and insist upon their literal interpretation in the midst of a much clamor and opposition, rapping equation invasion, less spent and wrapping a bent in a mess. Yet one thing secures us, whatever betide. The scriptures assures us that the Lord will provide. Rama will rhyme in the absence of any other proof. The thumb alone would convince me of God's existence. Wrapping a spit and a spat. Truth is the offspring of silence and meditation. I keep the subject constantly before me and wait till the first dawnings open slowly by little and little into a full and clear light. Rhyme. What Descartes did was a good step. You have added much, several ways. Away goes the day, and especially in taking the colors of thin, place into philosophical consideration. If I have seen a little fervor, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants, wrapped and reliant, spending their end of the defiant. There are more sure marks of authenticity in the Bible than any other profane history. There are more sure marks of authenticity in the Bible than any other profane history. Rep a monopoly. If others would think as hard as I did, then they would get similar results. Blah, 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 blah. God who gave animals self-motion, rapping love potion beyond our understanding is without doubt able to implant other principles, rapid, unstoppable, brother spit in a spattle of indestructible of motion and bodies. We may understand as little, spit in a spattle, a riddle. Some would readily grant this may be a spiritual one, yet a mechanical one might be shown. Did not I think it better to pass it by? Rhyme all day and all night. Sophisticated vocabularies, man, undocumented education, psychological incompetence, valley, library, I'm saying complete animate. Ram is consciously activated and clear, antithesis, substitutarianism, recovery, biodocianism, infinitism, rhymatism, Dachausianism, syllable hypnotism. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. I don't care that they stole my idea. I care that they don't have any of their own. Of all things, I like books the best, raps in the mess. The day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, the nanocomma, it will make more progress in one decade than it did in all the previous centuries of its existence. Rapping a spittus, be alone. That is the secret of invention. Be alone. That is when ideas are born and torn. The scientists of today think deeply instead of clearly, rapping never endingly for eternity, infinity. One must be sane to think clearly, but one can think deeply and be quite insane. Raps away. My brain is only a receiver in the universe. Spit and it hurts. There is a core from which we obtain knowledge. Spit and a porridge. Strength and inspiration, equation, invasion, annihilation. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know that it exists. Wrapping a spit into this present as there's the future for which I really worked as mine. Ram. If your hate could be turned into electricity, it would light up the whole world as it spins and it whirls and it swirls and it twirls. I do not think you can name many great inventions that are made by merry men, spitting again and again. There it goes inside of my head, spitting, rapping again and again. The individual is infernal. Races and nations come and pass away, but human remains. But man remains. What we now want most is closer contact and better understand. Rapping never ended between individuals and communities. Rapping relentlessly all over Earth in an elimination equation, annihilation, invasion of the fanatic devotion of a rapping a potion to exalted ideas of national egoism and pride, which is always prone to plunge the world in the primeval of barbarism and strife. But instinct is something which transcends knowledge. We have undoubtedly certain finer fibers that enable us to perceive truths when logical deduction or any other willful effort of the brain is futile. Rhyme for a while. I've been rhyming for a while. Scientific spent an eye, sophisticated vocabulary, been documented, education, psychological and competence, battality, and library. I'm standing completely adamant. Rhyme is consciously, accurately, and coherently. I mean, strong, subterranean, tatus, subterraneous, recovery, biodocian, this has been a rhymatism off top meatism, never endingalism, infinitism, the rhymatism, infinitism. I have sophisticated vocabulary. When you hear me speak, someone will sleep and I can close your eyes, I can creep in the back and access who want people because orange supposed to attack us what I eat. This is fat totally marshmallow, sweet sugar plums, that gives David in your sheet, place an asshole and turns beneath feet, walking days for carcass, sheet. I'm a man of the Mars, soul, full of full dark straight up, Irish straight off of our rares, couple times star says, hard head, hot, blood, and pig, dickhead, bring a big head, sick, quick with a fairy lyric spitted. Love is a lot like physics. It takes study to understand how mass is yours, his attract, how his body, heat conducts, and your heart rate accelerates before either has had time to evaluate impact. You think you understand velocity, assume the speed as at takeoff matches yours. You fail to account for force or Newton's third law of motion. The outcome of that one wrong electrical charge leaves all the circuits broken. You begin to oscillate, fall from orbit, finally calculate the variables of just so much hot air. But viewer, listener, beware, you are in for a scare. The angle of incidence, the collision, the angle of reflection, the realization burned by the egregious refraction of certain eyes. What is the antimatter, a stretch between magnetic fields of reason and desire? How will the equation balance? One side must invariably be solved. A centripetal force and Vigeland explain entropic delusions and test assumptions of reality. There's a spent rapidly for all of eternity, a sophisticated vocabulary inadequately spent never endingly for all of eternity. Something must be wrong with me. A sophisticated vocabulary has been adequate, documented, education, psychological and competence, best validity, and library. I'm saying with cool animate, Ram is consciously, accurately, and coherently. I mean, insurance, subterranean, subterraneous, recovery, biodocianism, infinitism, and rhymatism. The year 2100 will see eugenics universally established in past ages. The law governing the survival of the fittest roughly weeded out the less desirable stains. The man's new sense of pity begin to interfere with the ruthless workings of nature. As a result, we continue to keep alive and to breed the unfit. The only method compatible with our notions of civilization and the race is to prevent the breeding of the unfit spit by sterilizations and deliberate guidance, reliance of the mantine instincts. Several European countries and a number of states of the American Union spent in a union sterilized the criminal and the insane. This is not sufficient, rapid, efficient of a trend of opinion spitting among eugenists is that we must make marriage more difficult. Certainly no one who is not a desirable parent should be permitted spitting a spat to produce a progeny a century from now. It will no more occur to a normal person to mate with a person eugenically unfit than to marry a habitual criminal spitting a spattle forever. It is not in the shallow physical imitation of men that women will assert first their equality and later their superiority, but in the awakening of the unelected woman. Spent in a bubble. There's vocabulary, grammatical, document, education, psychological, comments, value, library, complete edit, famous, conscious, accurately inclined, neutral, subject, recovery, parameters, and their analytism. Two things are infinite. The universe of human stupidity. I'm not sure about the universe. And again, it hurts. There are only two things, only two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. I am enough of an artist to draw freely upon my imagination. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. Imagination encircles the world as it spins and it swirls and it twirls. If you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it yourself. Wraps in the shelf. If you want your children to be intelligent, read them fairy tales. If you want them to be more intelligent, read them more fairy tales. Logic will get you from A to Z. Imagination will get you everywhere. It's like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving, rapping forever and never ending. Anyone who has never made a mistake, has never tried anything new. I speak to everyone in the same way, whether he is the garbage man or the president of the university, rapping of relativity. Never memorize something that you can look up. When you are courting a nice girl and an hour seems like a second. When you sit on a red hot cinder, a second seems like an hour. That's relativity, rapping never endingly for eternity, infinity. A clever person solves a problem. A wise person avoids it, exploit it. Science without religion is lame. Religion without science is blind. Rhyme. Any fool can know the point is to understand. Thank you, ma'am. Reality is merely an illusion of that. A very persistent one. Reality is merely an illusion of that. A very persistent one. Spent in a bump. If we knew what it was we were doing, it would not be called research. Would it? Spat it. I have no special talents. I am only passionately curious. Spent in delirious. Why so serious? A human being is a part of the whole, called by us a universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings, as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion, to embrace all living creatures in the whole of nature and its beauty, rapping never-endingly. Try not to become a man of success, rather a man of value, span of value. The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existence. Spiritus, one cannot help but be in awe when he contemplates the mysteries of eternity, of life, of the marvelous structure of reality, spent never-endingly. For eternity, infinity is enough if one tries merely to comprehend a little of this mystery each day. Away goes today. I have sophisticated vocabulary, grammatical, document, education, psychological, comments, value, and library, saying complete edit, famous, conscious, accurately, clearly, running to show them so that they take this substitutarians, recovery, validosism, infinite parametism for millions of years. Mankind lived just like the animals. Then something happened which unleashed the power of our imagination. We learned to talk and we learned to listen. Speech has allowed the communication of ideas, enabling human beings to work together to build the impossible. Mankind's greatest achievements have come about by talking, and its greatest failures by not talking. It doesn't have to be like this. Our greatest hopes could become reality in the future with the technology at our disposal. The possibilities are unbounded. All we need to do is make sure we keep talking, rapping never ending. Remember to look up at the stars and not down at your feet. Try to make sense of what you see and wonder about what makes the universe exist. Spit in a spit. Be curious, and however difficult life may seem, there's always something you can do and succeed at. Rap. It matters that you don't just give up. My expectations were reduced to zero when I was 21. Everything since then has been a bonus. Rapping and behold it. It surprises me how disinterested we are today about things like physics, space, the universe, and philosophy of our existence, our purpose, our final destination. It's a crazy world out there. Be curious. Rapping relentless.